Good evening, and welcome to Westminster Presbyterian Church, the little church by the sea. I'm Pastor Eddie, and on behalf of the church, I'd like to welcome you to this wonderful, beautiful little facility that is really filled with a lot of love and joy tonight. Just a few little housekeeping items so that you know where you are in knowing our facilities. Some of you have never been here before. So if you need to excuse yourself, walking back and taking the elevator immediately to the lower level, restrooms are there. But you also can walk in this direction through stairs. On my right are the ladies, again, lower level, immediately to the first right. And for the men, also on my left. There are some stairs on my left. And then immediately to the, as you walk down the steps, it will be to your left again, the first door. About tonight's program, I follow that all of you have a form that will tell you the pieces of music that they are choosing to interpret for us tonight. I believe there are 13 of them. During the first piece of music, which I believe is the triptych dance, one of our volunteers is going to walk the aisle and is going to put right before you an offering plate. Okay, it's a free will donation, by the way. Okay? I know that some of you already, when you walked in, were very thoughtful about leaving your free will donation there. But if you have not had a chance to do that during the first piece of music, you'll have a chance to do that as well. If you feel mighty generous, do it again. It goes for a good cause, right? It's not a problem. So let me tell you just, you've probably been following joy and expressions of joy. If you're here, you know their music. But I believe that this ensemble got its starts in 2013. So they've been playing together for quite some time. Tonight we have 4 harpists. She'll talk to you a little more later in the program about the harps themselves. I just noticed quickly that they have different woods, so I would imagine they will resonate differently. But I'm an amateur about that. So she's going to coach us and tell us about the different harps that they have and the significance and so forth and so on. One last thing, because she came here to listen to music. I went into the internet. I'm an amateur about the harp, and my wife, Pam. And so I went into the internet and I searched harp and spirituality. And there's a lot of literature, by the way, about this ancient instrument. And again, Joy is going to speak about that later on to tell us about the source of this beautiful instrument. But one of the things that I noticed in reading about harp and spirituality is that there is really a beautiful link and connection between this instrument, particularly as it resonates, the sound that it makes and resonates. And as you listen to that being played tonight, just kind of like breathe in and breathe out and allow for that music to really resonate and penetrate deeply within you, and allow that music to touch within you that inner peace. We live in a very frantic, frenzy world. You have chosen life tonight to put that noise out and to allow this music to just really seep within you, calm your nerves, and be able to go home and rest tonight knowing that God is with us. So let us listen to Joy and the ensemble. And during the first piece, Deb is going to walk up and down, and you can then be mindful to say thank you to them on this occasion. So thank you for being here tonight, and I hope that everyone is going to enjoy this evening. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And also thank you for the generosity and the kindness of the offering. And thank you, Pastor Eddie, for having us here. And Deb for organizing everything. And I think Sylvia is not here, but she was helping as well. And we just are excited to see all of you come in tonight. We thank you for attending. It has been several years since we've been here. I was here in 2022 at Christmas with a flutist. We did harp and flute concert. But we were not here during COVID at all. So this group, we haven't been here for a while. One announcement is we have one missing tonight. Her name's Barbara. She is under the weather and had to miss 2 concerts this weekend. And we're missing Barbara's playing with us. We would have had 5. So I'm going to introduce the group to you now. Over here we have Ann Sterling, and Ann is from Greenwood, Delaware. Beside her is Lisa Muir, and she's from Princess Anne, Maryland. This little young lady over here that we love to pieces is Ivy Bell, and she is from Millsboro, Delaware. I'm Joy Slavens, and I'm the director of the ensemble, and I'm from Laurel, Delaware, and that makes Expressions of Joy Harp Ensemble tonight. So. I enjoy writing music. I teach, write music, and I enjoy taking songs and just making arrangements for the harp. Even from piano music, what I'm getting ready to do is play a love medley, but it's actually piano music, and I'm just creating it on the harp, trying to keep it straight. And but everything you said about the harp, it does resonate. What we say in the harp world is if you pull that instrument back on your chest, it's the only instrument that you can actually feel the vibration, the pulse of the instrument. And once you've pulled it back and felt it, you're hooked. You want to play harp. You want to learn the harp. So that's different than most instruments. And so harp is definitely very unique and so soothing. And we'll talk more later about some of the history of the harp. So right now I'm going to, on your program, and there's a couple changes. Harp's Delight will be moved to the end of the program. We've just had to switch some things around a little bit for tonight. But the next thing then is I have a solo, and that's a medley of some songs that you're going to know from way back. Love Me Tender, everybody knows that, and Moon River. That's always a special one. And then my generation, from the 70s, there was a cute blonde with little wire rim glasses. Do you remember his name? John Denver. And I'm going to do Annie's song. Scarborough Fair is a song that was an English tune, but then Simon and Garfunkel brought it really popular back in the 60s, I believe. And are you going to Scarborough Fair? And who remembers, what did they? That's right, that's right. Ivy and I are going to do a duet of Scarborough Fair. Simple Gifts is the next piece on the program. It's one of my favorite tunes. It's a original Shaker medley. Shakers were a group of religious people from the 1700s. She came over from England and developed a lot of followers here in the States. And I won't go into all the details of what they believed, but we've attended and visited several of their villages. They're fascinating. One's down in Kentucky, and two in New Hampshire we went to just a couple years ago. The Shaker village, the Shakers were known for, of course, we think of Shaker furniture. They made basically everything they used. And everything they had in their homes was simple, plain, no knickknacks. Ladies, you know, they believed that moving stuff and dusting those things took their time from God. So they kept everything simple. And of course, they were brothers and sisters, not husbands and wives. And so if you went in as a single mother and you had a couple kids, and maybe your husband had passed away, you went in and those children became your brother and sister, not your children. So if you don't know much about the Shakers, it's interesting to get into it. But their music, I got to attend a couple of the workshops about their music. They wrote over 2,000 songs, and so they had their own music, and they would dance in their worship services, and they had the wooden floors, of course, and picture the sound of the clogging. You might think of the heels of those shoes on the wooden floor, and all singing as loud as they could and worshiping, but they'd go in circles. The women perhaps were in the inner circle going this way, and the men were going the opposite direction. And they would go faster and faster. It would start, and they did so many motions with being plain people, but they did a lot of motions, and getting rid of the bad things went out this way, and the good things were this way. And so thinking of the song, Simple Gifts, is a gift to be simple, is a gift to be free. They were free of everything, and they made their brooms, and they just made everything they made. They were very intelligent people with how to invent and create. I know one of the women invented oven. Am I right, Tom? An oven, a stovetop that revolved. You know, so you weren't having to lean over to the back burner. It came right around. So anyhow, there's a lot of neat things about the shakers. But and this song, Simple Gift, says it about turning and turning. And now I can honestly tell you, we're playing at one steady beat. We are not going to go faster and faster. So I hope you enjoy Simple Gift. Ivy has been taking harp for about 3 years. I think July it'll be 3 years. I will tell you a little bit about Ivy. She's 12 years old, and, and she will love to meet you afterwards. She loves to talk about the harp and teach anything you want to know. She is a great little teacher over here. And Ivy also takes piano from me. So she comes Tuesday mornings bright and early for an hour of harp. And she comes bright and early Wednesday morning for 45 minutes of piano. She is practicing. I'm really bragging on her this weekend with the concerts. She practices, I think most of the time she gets an hour on both instruments every day. And she is a homeschooler, but I tell you, kids think they've practiced 5 minutes and they're done. And Ivy is doing excellent on the piano and excellent on harp, and she is going to do barcarolle for us. And barcarolle is in 6/8 timing. It has a feeling of just kind of swaying along as if you're in a gondola out on the boat there, just moving back and forth along with the current in the water. And so you'll probably feel like swaying along with barcarolle. The next piece is a duet between with Lisa and I, and it's kind of funny. We were at a concert Friday night we did, and we took it out of the program, and the program ran kind of short, so we thought, well, we'll put it back in tonight. And we just can't seem to get rid of Ode to Joy. We did it in October, and then we did it the entire Christmas season, and it's a lengthy arrangement of Ode to Joy with a variation with different key changes. It's kind of interesting. It's interesting on the harp especially. But hang on, it's a little longer than most of the songs, but I don't think it needs much of an introduction. It's Beethoven, and Joyful, Joyful, We Adore Thee is so well known. But when Beethoven wrote that Ninth Symphony, he was deaf. And when he was taken to see it performed by the orchestra, and they had to turn his head to see the clapping to show he never heard the most famous piece that he ever wrote. Lisa's probably saying, I wish they wouldn't hear us, but we have grown weary of Ode to Joy, but tonight we're resurrecting it. Thank you. As you can see, it goes on and on. This next piece we're going to do is slows down the pace a little bit, the tempo down. It is a beautiful medley. It has become one of our favorite pieces. We just think it is beautiful. And it's called the Good Shepherd Medley. There was a harpist that passed away last year, very suddenly. He was in his 50s. Brooke Bodie was his name. And he wrote music, not a whole lot of music, but they're publishing some of his pieces. And another harpist, Rhett Barnwell from Atlanta, Georgia, who composes and arranges all the time, he took Brooke Bodie's piece and turned it into a duet of the Good Shepherd Medley. And the first song is My Shepherd Shall Supply All My Need, is that correct? Sally would know that one. And the second one is The King of Love My Shepherd Is. So he weaved those together, and it makes an absolutely beautiful, it's very harpistic and beautiful harp arrangement. Thank you. We're just going to pause for a moment or two, and I'll tell you a little bit about the harps and the differences in the harps, and then we'll just see if there's a few questions. We've got a few more songs to do, but we can take a few minutes. And so you see there's two kinds of harps up here. We have Anne is on a lever harp, and Ivy is on a lever harp. Lisa and I in the middle are on pedal harps. So the difference in that would be the levers raise the pitch. How many musicians do I have here tonight? Any kind of musician? Oh my, just a handful. Okay. So we call them in music sharps. So Anne, I'll go ahead and do it. So like here's a C, but if I put the lever up, it raised the pitch. So that would be called a C sharp. And so she has to set her levers for each song for whatever key it's in. So that's what they do in between songs. They're like changing it. Oh, we need one sharp, we need two sharps, we don't need any sharps, that kind of thing. And then the pedals, but that I'll say with that, they, in the middle of a song, like if there's what's called an accidental, they have to use their left hand to change those levers while they're playing. So that's kind of tricky. Then the pedal harps, afterwards, if you'd like to come up and look at them and sit down at one, you may. There are 7 pedals, and the way we learn those, because it's not exactly in order, it's did Columbus bring enough food to give America? And I can remember my first lessons on the pedal harp, sitting there just, did Columbus bring? You know, and so the pedals are used in the same way. They have 3 positions. It's kind of like a Z, a zigzag. It goes, so it can kind of go down and over, would actually be our sharp. We go down to do our sharps, and sharps always go up in music. But on the harp, the pedal goes down. So we go up for our flats, totally opposite of piano. And so it's, the tricky part is you can't see your feet, but organists like Sally and other organists that may be here, they don't see their feet when they're doing all their fancy footwork. The only thing is theirs don't have positions to go up and down and move. Theirs are just right there in front of them, flat. So, and over the years, you hear people say, so what's the hardest instrument, the lever harp or the pedal harp? Like the age-old debate. And each has their challenges. I think it's tricky to be playing along and have to think of the levers, and sometimes I think you're limited on the lever harp. You can't do everything maybe you could do on the pedal harp. But on the pedal harp, sometimes we have 2 pedals at a time, and 2 beats later, 2 more pedals, and put those others back. And you have to remember, oh, did I do that foot? And our feet do get tangled up on occasion. You see the colored strings. The reds are C's and the blacks are F's, so that does help guide us. It's not just there for a decoration, and if we get really good, it won't go all clear. We need those colors. Don't take our colors away. We definitely need our reds and our blacks to guide us. And then, let's see. So, Anne, how many strings do you have? 40? 40 strings. Lisa has 47, I have 47, Ivy, 40. And Ivy's gonna soon be looking for maybe getting a pedal harp. We're getting excited about that. So they weigh, the ones in the middle here weigh about 80 pounds. Yeah, so we have a harp dolly. We can wheel them on, a big case we put them in. So I'll take a few questions if this is your first time to learn more about the harp. Yes. Well, I know I have a husband, and I know Lisa has a husband all the time. Wayne's over here. Like I said, we have a harp dolly. We put them on so we can wheel them, and then we have SUVs that they lay flat in the back. You do have to measure your vehicle when you buy it for a harp. Yes, this lady.
Does anyone play both?
Yes. Yes, as a matter of fact, Lisa started on the lever harp and went to the pedal harp. I started on a lever harp and went to the pedal harp. And so, yeah, you can. Yeah, most of the time people start on the lever harps because they're smaller and they're more affordable. So you might start, I started on a very small harp, and I didn't know anything about harp. I didn't have any harp people to contact to find out. So we just looked online and we bought a harp. And it was just a small one, and 34 strings, but it was about this tall. It's called a Dusty Strings Ravenna, and I took lessons on that for about a year, and I was already starting to book like a wedding, and there's no way I could do a wedding on that little harp. And so we got another pedal harp. Yes. Yes.
How difficult are they to tune or keep in tune?
They do last. It only takes a few minutes to tune, but we do have to tune every time we move it. And in our homes, I tune mine once a week. I try to do it on Mondays, that I tune all my harps because my students are coming and they better be in tune. But they actually hold pretty good. Like, I think even like this one I've got would be maybe even 10 days, it would hold close to it. But they're not hard to tune. And, the strings do break, and we have to change strings. We change all the strings every other year on the pedal harps. We get them regulated, and they fix the pedals and do all kinds of things, but they need a whole new set of strings every other year. And that year goes fast in between, because it's not fun to change all the strings. Yes, sir?
How old are the harps?
And that's a good question. Ann, do you know when yours was built? Okay, so hers is 8 years old. Wayne, when did you buy Lisa her harp?
1991.
No,
What would have been
2021.
2020?
And that was brand new. So hers was a brand new harp. That was an anniversary gift. How about that? Instead of a dozen roses, get a big harp. And my harp is the oldest here. She's even older than I am. She is 1957. She has a name. Her name is Marigold. And we got her just a few years ago from a harpist in Atlanta, Georgia. And she'll be that's my final harp. I won't be getting another one. I got my gold harp. And she was made for Whitman Candy Sampler, for the owner of Whitman Samplers, his daughter. It was built specifically for her. There was a couple owners after her, but not many. And so that's kind of special, I think. Yes?
Does the ornamentation affect the sound on your harp?
No, I don't.
It's all wood?
Yeah, it's the gold leaf over the wood. But the more wood you have, just like on a piano, a grand piano has a bigger sound than a spinet. So the more wood you have on your harp, the bigger sound. Like, our sound comes from our soundboard. And so the wider the soundboard, the larger our sound is. Yeah, that's what you start looking for when you look for bigger harps. And you,
What about the wood? Because he seems to be different.
yes, I'm chuckling because Friday night I was asked about the wood, and I had to actually call in Lisa's husband to help me out because he's a woodworker. But I do know that all harps are made with maple, and then they have different finishes. Now, Wayne, what did you tell me afterwards?
There's some harps actually made with mahogany and cherry, and the soundboard usually spruce or red cedar.
Okay, I've got to memorize this. As you can tell, I don't get into the technical stuff of how it's made or anything. I just play it. But different harps have different sounds. I know a lady asked me before it started tonight, the smaller the harp, the smaller the sound. If you have nylon strings, you're going to have more of a tinny sound that they use in the Celtic world more. And we have concert tension on I think all these harps have concert tension, the natural gut strings. So, anybody else? Yes.
The Celtic harp, is that a lever harp?
Yes, yeah, they're always a lever harp. And they fly on those things. One of the big things with learning the harp is, you notice we do a lot of hand and arm movement. It's called technique, the T word. And technique is how we get our sound through, our hands are rounded, we pluck a string and we pull it into our hand, we close our hand, we raise, we pyramid our thumb, I'm looking at a student, Kim sitting there. And we open all, we close all. We count by raising. It's like 1, 2, 3, 4. We get away from the strings by raising. We travel, like phrasing, by raising. If I want to go from here to there, so we make an arch. The first year is all about technique. Right, Ivy? She's come along nicely on her technique. I don't hardly ever have to mention anything to her. It's the adults that struggle sometimes with their technique. You know, their fingers don't want to close. And so, but that's how we get a nice resonant sound coming out that just sustains. Yes, so one more maybe. Yeah.
So are those nylon strings, or
There's nylon at the top, and then it changes to concert tension, or the gut, they call it, and then we have wires on the bottom. Yeah, these are thick wires, and the strings are costly. Like one wire might be $25, or like these, the gut here are like $25. The wires aren't so bad, it's the gut in between. So I always say everything with harp is expensive. I don't know, the music, everything about it. But it does, as far as the history, it was first mentioned in the book of Genesis that Jubal played his string instrument, and they assumed that was a harp. And then, of course, we know the harpist in the Psalms, David, he played for King Saul to soothe his soul. King Saul was troubled, and so he asked David to come and play. And David was just the shepherd boy, but he had a harp. We don't know what kind. I would assume a lap harp, and maybe it had, like 16 strings, something like that. So the harp goes way back. And in Egypt, I remember seeing pictures, like the history, the Egyptians, they really looked just like a bow, like from a bow and arrow, like a bow. It was just like a string, couple strings, and this big brown thing with it. So. All right, well, we're going to get back and play a few more songs, but I would encourage you afterwards to come up if you'd like to sit at the harp and feel that against your, I know a teacher, I'm always looking for students. And so, yes, we would love to meet you and talk with you, and we'll go on back to playing. Ivy, what's our next song? I think we'll skip Mountain Mist. We already did a duet of Ode to Joy, so we're going to skip Mountain Mist tonight. And so what would be after that? Flight of the Mountain Bluebird. Oh, did you have a question?
Yeah, I know you all play different keys, different notes. How do you work into work? You're all playing different notes.
Yes, we are.
Two orchestras that join you. So is everybody playing different melodies?
Tonight, with 4 of us, most of our songs are divided 2 and 2, harp 1 and harp 2. So I'd have 2 people on harp 1 and 2 people on harp 2. Even if I had a group of 7 or 8 harps, we might go up to 3 parts. And so yes, we all are doing different things. I try to divide, most of the time I try to divide Lisa and I, because we are on the bigger pedal harp. So I'm usually harp 1, she's usually harp 2. That way we have a strong harp that's louder on each part. So.
It seems like you're playing the melody and she's doing the other view.
I get on the melody a lot. I think it's because Marigold's louder. I usually take harp 1, and it's rare that I'm on a different part. Do you all agree with that? Am I usually harp 1? I guess. I'm number 1.
I'm watching you, and you're all playing different. Oh, I can't see her. But I know you two were up, and I couldn't see her.
Yeah, you're very observant. That's great. On this next piece, Amazing Grace, you're welcome to sing along. We have 3 verses. Thank you. Before we do our last and final song tonight, I do want to thank again Pastor and his wife and all the staff that did everything, making the programs, and I think we have refreshments downstairs afterwards. So thank you for everything you've done, for the kind offering, and it's really good to be back to Westminster Presbyterian. We love playing here, the Christmas times we were here, the church was just loaded with poinsettias across the front. It's just a beautiful setting. And I want to thank each one of you for coming tonight. I hope you've enjoyed, and I hope you just relaxed and were soothed by some of that beautiful harp music that didn't make you go to sleep. I hope you didn't sleep through it, but it is soothing. And so again, thank you. And now we're going to finish out with Harp's Delight. This one, it weaves back and forth between the 2 harps, and it's just a fun song, and it just really says, you'll hear what the harp really does.
So Joyce, thank you, and all of you, thank you for sharing such beautiful music and spending the evening with us. Again, thank you, all of you, for attending and affirming their gifts and talents. Just want to share with you that your generous contribution tonight, we were able to generate $540 that will be for them to take with them and invest. You know, so, thank you. Thank you. I think our evening concludes.